Hello, everybody. So we are broadcasting live, and I am scheduled to be talking to Rev Tony Ponticello right now. If there is anybody on the line or listening, I apologize, but Tony is not yet in the room. But we will cross our fingers and hope that he joins us soon. So bear with us. I've gotten a couple of messages as to not being able to hear anything, and that is because we've just broadcast just now live. So I apologize for the confusion. Hopefully Tony will join us momentarily. Our topic of the day is change your mind, change your world, which is really the theme of the upcoming conference in Las Vegas, the Course in Miracles conference that's coming up in Las Vegas. And so today was going to be an opportunity to talk about change your mind, change your world. And again, I apologize, Tony Ponticello has not entered the room, but that won't stop us from broadcasting. And it's just another example of, in a moment where, here I am waiting for my guest, being willing to accept what is unfolding, which is my guest has not arrived yet in the Google Hangout room, and trust that all will be all will unfold perfectly. So as I am waiting here, I'd like to invite anybody who wants to come into the room and join me. You are more than welcome to come into the room and join me. I would love the company. There's somebody. There's Mark. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm cooking some dinner right now, but I'm going to listen in.
Okay, listen in. And hopefully I'll have a guest to talk to. Otherwise, I may just end up talking.
Oh, okay. Oops. I'm boiling some pasta right now, so.
Well, you continue to boil the pasta while I patiently wait here for Tony to come in and
Okay.
in my best attempt keep us all interested in wanting to listen. By the way, thank you for joining me. This was a spontaneous Google Hangout, and in the spirit of the practice of peace, sometimes things like this happen. People don't show up. Things don't unfold as they could or should. And so the purpose of all of this is peace of mind. So I will use this as an opportunity to share what I'm currently going through right now, waiting for Tony to join us. So we'll give Tony a little bit of time. And if he doesn't join us, then he won't join us. I'll just start off with the topic. I'll go ahead and take the topic of change your mind, change your world. This is the theme topic coming up, and I will be speaking at the event. And I don't know yet exactly what I'll be saying. I'll be surprised actually when I get there. I probably won't prep too much, but in anticipation for it, as I think about this theme, change your mind, change your world, the essence of the heart of really what that's about is the simple change in who we think we are. Oftentimes we think about change your mind, change your world in terms of changing our mind to change the form of our world. And that is understandable, and that is seemingly part of this path. We start off with wanting to change the world because oftentimes we find ourselves at the effect of the world. And so we want to change it. I know for me, in my experience with the Course, and certainly the practice of many spiritual teachings, it was about using these spiritual teachings and the lessons to change what was happening in the world. And that is fine, and that is perfect, and that is quite beautiful. But as I think about this theme, change your mind, change your world, and as I've contemplated and put a lot of these spiritual principles into practice, what I've really come to experience is change your mind, change your world is really change who you think you are. And I just got a message from Tony. He says, I'm seeing you and I'm hearing you, but you don't see me. No. So Tony, if you can hear me, I'm going to go ahead and send you the link to your email, and we'll get you here in this room. And I'm gonna send it on Facebook because that is where you are texting me. So not all's lost. He will be here shortly. I sent Tony the link. So basically, as I was sharing, change your mind, change your world is really changing your idea of yourself or ourselves. As we think of ourselves as this separate person, then we're going to see a very particular kind of world. And that world will serve the purpose to keep the sense of personhood and separation very real. And that is the cornerstone of all suffering, this sense of separation. But when we change our mind about who we are, who the identity we assume, in other words, if we change our position from this separate sense to this wholeness, the holiness of who and what we are, or the extension of God, or the child of God, which is what the Course teaches, then our world changes, because we no longer see ourselves at the effect of the world, but in fact see ourselves connected to the world. And so the experience is one of which is completely different. No longer are we subject to what's happening to the world. No longer are we subject to the world's laws. We are only subject to what is true. Tony just sent me a message. I see and hear you. You don't hear or see me. No, Tony, I do not have you in the room. I just sent you a link. I'm going to send it again to your Gmail address. I just sent it to your Gmail address. And if you can try to come in through there, that would probably help you get into the room. And then you can join me on this conversation of change your mind, change your world. Tony did give me a number. This is reality television for everybody. This is happening live as I speak. I'm going to try to call Tony, and you get to listen in as we try to put all the pieces together to get Tony back into the room. I'll put him on speakerphone, and hopefully we'll get him in this room with us. If not, you hear him on the phone.
Hey, is this Craig?
This is Tony. It's Craig calling you live from a broadcast Google Hangout. We have viewers in the room. Tony, did you get the link I sent you in Facebook messaging?
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
I got the link. I put it in my browser. You come up. I see you. You're talking. But it's what you said a couple minutes ago, which is you're waiting for me to come in the room, and then this guy Mark comes on, who's put the pasta.
Okay. What about the link that I sent you in your email? Did that work, or did we try that perhaps?
Which email did you send to the miracles@earthlink.net?
I sent it to your Gmail account and the EarthNet account as well.
Gmail account. Let me try the Gmail account. Maybe that because it's Google Hangout. I don't know. Anyway, I've been here.
Awesome.
I'm trying.
I appreciate it. You know, this is, you know, technology. Sometimes we can't always, you know, we can't always predict what technology is going to do. If for some reason that doesn't work, I'm going to go ahead and ask you some questions and interview you right here on the phone.
Well, we can do it over the phone because I'm here in okay, there you go. I got it. Okay, invited you. Are you going? Okay, just click. Oh, I hear my voice now.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience, and yeah, we'll see how this unfolds.
I'd like to invite anybody who wants to come to the room. No, you know, every time, Craig, every time I use your link, it goes back and starts you at the beginning of the video.
Okay.
I can't.
What about the Gmail? Did you try that one?
I did.
And it didn't work. Okay, so we're going to just allow that to be what it is, and I'm just going to interview you while you are here with me on the phone. I pray and hope that people can hear you, but I hear you fine, and I'm just going to interview you here if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Whatever we can do is fine with me. Sorry that this didn't work.
No worries. It's technology. And we do have some viewers on the line and watching. So the first thing I'd like to first say thank you so much. I know that this did not unfold as we would have wanted it ideally, but I still have you here. And the important thing is really to get to the heart of the conference and the conference theme. So thank you for being here. My first question to you, Tony, is how did you come up with the theme for the conference?
Well, practically, that may not be the question that you're asking, but it is kind of interesting. We have a theme committee. The theme committee consists of, at that time, I think it was 4 or maybe 5 of the members of the Community Miracle Center. The way it works is that each member of the theme committee submits 3 themes and 3 attendant quotations from A Course in Miracles that to them have inspired that theme. And so once we have all the submissions of themes and the quotations, then we throw it back out to the committee, and you vote for the 3 you like the best, but you cannot vote for your own. So you have to look at everybody else's theme and decide which ones you like the most, or you feel guided to vote for. You vote for your favorite 3. And then afterwards I tally those, and I find the top 3 that have been chosen, and then I throw that over to the board of directors. And we have 10 people on our board of directors, and then the board of directors votes on the themes, and that's how we decide on which theme is going to be the theme that we're going to focus our attention and our energy on. And the reason why, maybe people don't think they're interested in that, but I'd like people to know that, this is really a group process that involves, quite a few people, and because we really approach it with a lot of integrity. We want themes that represent major teachings, major focuses of A Course in Miracles that we feel Holy Spirit wants us to focus in on. And people put a lot of thought, effort, and energy into coming up with the perfect theme. Now, the theme for this conference is Change Your Mind, Change the World. And it is based on this quotation from A Course in Miracles, which is, "Herein lies your ultimate release. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly." And there are actually, a number of places in A Course in Miracles that refer to this very same idea, that we change our minds and that the world that we see changes. It's actually a pretty consistent theme in A Course in Miracles. And what I think people particularly liked about this particular quotation was that phrase, ultimate release. So, once we come up with a theme, then it's actually put into the contract of all the presenters, and it's in your contract that you agree to, which is the presenters must agree to address this theme. So, I've been to conferences and some Course in Miracles conferences that had particular themes, but the themes seemed irrelevant. None of the speakers addressed the theme. It just sort of, just seemed not to make any difference at all. So this was really a little bit of a reaction against that, or a reaction to that we wanted real focuses for these conferences. And we wanted the focus to be something that, all the committed A Course in Miracles students in the Community Miracle Center really felt that it was time. Like it's the It's this moment in the history of the evolution of consciousness and healing to give an extra little shot, push to this idea. So all the presenters then agree that they will focus on this idea, and you participated in this process. And then some months ahead of the conference, like 4, 5, 6 months ahead of the conference, we need the title of their presentation and a 100-word description about what they're going to talk about. And we tell them that it has to have that word in it, and it has to address the theme. And if it doesn't, we don't accept it. We work back and forth with them until we get one that does. So they have to be phrases like ultimate release and change your mind, change the world, and the theme has to address that idea. Because we want people who then come to the conference to really have an experience about what it means to change your mind so that the world will change. And, maybe some people approach this like, well, why do we want to change the world? And, what is the relationship between the world and our hearts? So, the 26 presenters are going to present 26 very different ideas about what this theme means. And we actually like that. We don't want everybody to line up around a particular interpretation of this theme. And we think it's great that 26 people come up with 26 different ways to look at this, because we hope that then the enrollee, the person participating in the conference, will then come away with their own sense about what this idea means for them. What does it mean for them? But A Course in Miracles tells us to change our mind about what we want to see, and all the world must, change accordingly. What does that mean for the individual people? So, in terms of what does it mean for me, that might be a particular discussion. And, my presentation at the conference, which will be at the finale, will present what it means to me. But that's just what it means for me. The conference is designed so that people coming to the conference will have some experience, hopefully when they leave, about what this might mean for them. So that's probably a very long discussion for a very simple question.
No, that's quite beautiful. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that, first of all, the Course does, talk about this theme of change your mind, change your world in many places. It may not use those words, but that is the heart of what we're talking about.
You're breaking up a little bit, Craig.
I was just saying that the heart of what you were sharing, the theme being change your mind, change your world, is really in the Course spoken about many times, even though it does not use.
Now we're having more technical problems. I can't hear you.
Okay. I was basically agreeing with you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Tony?
Only on and off. I heard that. Can you?
I was just mentioning that you were absolutely right. I was agreeing with you with regards to the theme being mentioned throughout the Course, even though it doesn't use those words, this idea of changing your mind and changing your world.
Actually, a very common theme in A Course in Miracles, even though, possibly some people don't see that or don't really think that, but it actually is, talked about a lot in A Course in Miracles. I think A Course in Miracles is giving us very concrete ways whereby we can do just that, whereby we can change our mind so that the world changes. I think people think of, miracles. Originally probably we think of miracles as something that does indeed change the world, some sort of a strange, non-scientific switch of what the world is doing. And then we learn in A Course in Miracles that, the world is an illusion, and then they fall back into this idea that we're not supposed to be too involved with the world. However, the Course is really clear that we're here to learn how to actually change the world. And we change the world by changing our mind, because our mind is causing the world. to be the way it is. Most people, before enlightenment, are trying to change the world by changing something that is external to them. But what we really want to do now is how to literally change the world, how to really change the world. And we have to learn that the world is not external to us. It's a representation of our own state of mind. Okay, here's another quote that basically says something very similar. Let me look on the world I see as the representation of my own state of mind. I know that my state of mind can change, and so I also know the world I see can change as well. So, here it is again. This is from the workbook, lesson 54. So we have to learn through A Course in Miracles or through some sincere spiritual discipline that the world that we see is it indeed a representation of our state of mind, and we change our state of mind, and so the world that we see changes. And let me read you another one. Learning is constant and so vital in its power for change that the Son of God can recognize his power in one instant and change the world in the next. That is because by changing his mind, he has changed the most powerful device that was ever created for change. So, it's saying exactly the same thing. That's why I've said that this is a very persistent idea in A Course in Miracles, even though, sometimes people don't understand this, or maybe they haven't connected with it yet, and they think A Course in Miracles is about not being engaged or involved in the world, going within, finding the peace within, and letting the world be the insane place that it is. And the thing is, the world is a representation of us. If we think the world is insane, that's a statement about how we look at ourselves. And I see this very prevalent with Course in Miracles students and a lot of people. They see this, this crazy world. Well, the world isn't crazy. The world is us. And if we see a crazy world, that's the same thing as saying that we think we're crazy. We're the world. We are the world, as that old song said. It's us. You got to be aware that if you're judging the world as crazy and insane, that's a judgment on you. And do you really want that definite? Do you want that judgment? I don't think you would if you really understood what you were doing.
That's a good point that you made, Tony. I think there are a lot of things a lot of good nuggets that you shared. The one thing that sticks out in my mind that you said is you are the world. So in our attempt to judge the world as crazy, we are in our minds separating ourselves from the world, which is not what we're told in the Course that we are. We're told that we're holy, which infers that we are whole. So we can't separate ourselves and find peace. There is a lot to what you just shared about our connectedness to everything in the world.
I've spoken of this frequently, that, when A Course in Miracles talks about the body, and it is generally referring to this, physical piece of flesh that surrounds our mind. It actually refers to that, the body in that way at some point. But what I've really gotten for myself as I expand my identity and my concept of self, that the entire physical universe is my body. The entire physical universe is a manifestation that is coming from my mind of my conceptualization of self, of who I am. So I believe who I am, whatever it is, and I project that onto the screen. In some places, the Course in Miracles refers to the world, and what it's actually referring to is the screen onto which we are projecting our thoughts and our beliefs about the self. So, the world is both the projection at times, and sometimes it's the screen on which, we are projecting these things. And myself is being projected on the screen, and it's the entire physical universe. It's not only just our planet, it's all the planets, it's all the stars, it's all the galaxies, it's all of space. All of it. That's us. That's who we are. That's who we believe we are. And our attitudes toward all of that is our attitudes toward ourselves. There's a lot of good teaching in modern psychology about learning to love yourself and maybe learning to love your body, your physical, fleshy body. And I think that's good as far as it goes. And most people can't even go there. So, but we not only have to learn how to love our fleshy body and feel good about this corporal manifestation that we have in flesh, we have to learn to feel good about the manifestation of the physical universe, because that's our body too. That is us. And I see a lot of people judging this thing that we call the physical world really negatively. And that's the same thing as hating your body. It's, psychology would tell you, be aware of that, shift to that. It's not healthy for you to hate your body. It's not healthy for us to judge and hate physical reality. That is our representation of self.
So, Tony, let me ask you, it is a political scene out there now, very political scene right now. How do you use the political kind of circus that's unfolding right now in a way that we are remembering our wholeness when we see perhaps a candidate that we want to judge against? What would you suggest, or how do you use the teachings of the Course when that experience happens to you? Or maybe it doesn't, I don't know.
Okay, well, I am so glad you asked that question, Craig, because I love politics. I just love it. First of all, I think the whole process, which, again, a lot of spiritual people would like to divorce themselves from or move away from or not get involved. But I see it as this wonderful opportunity for the world, our country anyway, but the world is involved, our country to join in a conversation about what values are important to us in this moment. How do we want to evolve and move our society? What values would we like our society to embrace, to inspire to? And, there's a lot of different values, and different factions have different ideas and different values. But the fact that we put this up in a really public way and, manifest candidates who seem to give a mouthpiece to these values, and that then these candidates have discussions and debates and everything with each other, it's amazing. That's us having a conversation with ourselves. In any relationship that you might have, we know intuitively and instinctively and because of agreement that it's healthy when we're talking. It's healthy when we're discussing. It doesn't matter whether we have strongly divergent ideas about things. The healthiness is in the fact that we're talking about them. So, first of all, elections and politics is us talking with factions of our culture that we probably wouldn't normally talk to. So it's really good in that sense. We could talk about individual candidates, and if you want to, but Donald Trump is wonderful. He's embodying a certain what do you want to call it? A nativist, populist thought. And, and I think it's amazing. First of all, has this ever happened to us? Have we ever had somebody who was totally apolitical in the sense that he's never ran for a political office before? This is his first election that he's ever been involved in, and he's running for president? I mean, that's a pretty remarkable thing. I applaud him for that. I mean, first of all, that opens the possibility, literally, that anybody could be president. It doesn't matter whether you've had political office before. You don't have to be a senator. You don't have to be a governor. You can run for president just by who you are. Well, in his case, a very successful businessman. the thing. But it really opens up the political process to everybody, even if you've never run for a public office before. So I really salute him on manifesting that. He's gone against an incredible amount of convention that would say that's not even really possible. So there's that. And again, he's embracing a certain very populist attitude. He's embracing a certain nativist attitude. And, there's a lot of people that believe that. And he's giving them a mouthpiece. And I actually like him because he's put into the political process a sense of humor that has been sorely lacking for decades. So he's funny. He's funny. You listen to him and you laugh. And, maybe you don't like the humor that he's doing, but he's being very playful and very humorous. And I like a little humor. In a sense, he's taking what he's doing very sincerely and seriously, but he's not taking it so seriously that he's lost his sense of humor. Of course, a miracle says we forgot to laugh. Well, Donald Trump is remembering to laugh. You may not like it, but he's laughing. So, I see a lot of good that's going on there. In the Democratic side, you've got Hillary Clinton. Oh, my God, she's the first woman to really be a serious candidate for president. And, she may really get the Democratic nomination. And I think that's amazing. Do people understand how incredible that is, that we have a woman that might be the Democratic nominee for president of the United States? Women for centuries and decades have been trying to establish themselves and to show that they are equal to a man in every single aspect, and this woman is embodying that. That's amazing. That's to be celebrated. I don't care what she stands for. People are focused in on the issues that she bought out by corporate America. And I don't know. Those are questions. But if you step back and look at the bigger picture is a woman is running for president and might actually win. And I think if she succeeds, oh my God, the healing that would be a manifestation of, I don't think anybody's really ready to grok. I just think it's a mending of the collective unconsciousness that is just awesome. And then you got Bernie Sanders. He's amazing too. He is bringing real attention to the problem with the political system, the problem with big money influencing the political system. He's also the first Jewish candidate that has ever come this far. And you think about the history of the Jewish religion and the Jewish people and how they were oppressed and persecuted and killed, and just how people just approached being Jewish as like an anathema. You just couldn't, being Jewish. He's a Jewish candidate for president. He's a socialist, somebody who believes in, and the distribution of wealth. And nobody would have ever thought that somebody with those ideas could get as far as he's gotten. And, those ideas are, and that's about everybody being equal. Let's face it, socialism is about everybody being equal and having an equal right and an equal access to the things of the world and the power and the supply of the world. And, that goes right along with the Course in Miracles. It's about everyone being equal, and Bernie Sanders is the embodiment of that. And he's held steadfastly to these views for his whole, political life, which goes back 30, 40 years. He's amazingly consistent. So what do I feel about the political process? It's fucking fascinating. And it's like so amazing. It's so healing on so many levels. I don't understand. For me, it's like amazingly exciting. I don't know how these people turn away from it. It's just awful. It's just a bunch of egos. To me, it's just the Holy Spirit is just working big time to heal our collective consciousness. And man, I just say enjoy the show because it's a manifestation of our healing.
That's beautiful, Tony. I really appreciate the way you just shared your the way you see the political process and everything. I think that I know in my experience, I've run into a couple of people who have found themselves in a sense of fear because of some of the political candidates, and just kind of looking or listening to you and the way you're sharing, I can see how the perspective can be shifted and changed, even when it comes to someone as extreme as Donald Trump. The way you said that we are watching ourselves. So when we see Donald Trump, saying anything or something that we are charged or feel charged, that's showing up in a shared mind, and open or subject to what the Course would say is forgiveness. So it's a wonderful opportunity to use this whole political process as a means to forgive and continue our awakening. But on that point, Tony, there's something that I've seen a few times, and I want to get your point of view. What about the seeming violence that seems to show up in, let's take some of Trump's rallies? I recently saw a YouTube video where there was a bit of a brawl, there was a fight, someone got hit. How do you take this practice of change your mind and change your world with these undeniable kind of appearances of violence?
Well, that is the ego rearing its head. And what A Course in Miracles says is the ego, if you're going along with it, is suspicious. But if you're directly confronting it, it gets vicious. So, if what we're seeing is a little bit of the viciousness of the ego, you almost can see it as an indication that the ego must be really fearful that it's being undone. The ego is being undone. And so it's thrashing about. It's thrashing about. It doesn't like it. It doesn't like being undone. It wants to, it wants to have its way. It doesn't want to be challenged. So, people who feel that their egos are being challenged are thrashing about. And that's what egos do. So, I think the call, and what A Course in Miracles would tell us to do is to forgive them, forgive the manifestation of violence that you may see or aggressiveness that you may see. But I really think that's just an indication of how much healing and shifts of perception and changes of mind that are changing the world. It's just an indication of how much of that is actually going on. It's going on so much that things erupt and things get violent. Now, of course, we don't want violence, and nobody feels good about it, and we shouldn't feel good about it. I would just turn it over to the Holy Spirit and see it as an indication of the viciousness of the ego, which means the ego is threatened. The ego is really, really threatened. It's really threatened. There's people in the Republican Party that are really threatened by Donald Trump, and they're trying. The Republican establishment is trying to do everything to prevent this guy from getting the nomination, and they might not succeed. And they don't like that. And I can I haven't followed all the details. I don't know what this particular eruption of violence was that you were talking about. I know that certain white supremacists have endorsed Donald Trump, and possibly something's going on with them. They tend to be an angrier, more fearful group. But we got to love them too. They're a representation of our more angry and fearful ideas. It's a mistake to see them as outside of us. They are us. They're an aspect of us. One of the things I've talked about, and I've mentioned many times in talks, is when I look at my own mind and the random, fearful, angry thoughts that I have from time to time, I'm surprised the world isn't worse. I just think it's an amazing amount of grace that the world is as beautiful and wonderful and peaceful and full of loving people that it is. Because I'm aware of the crazy thoughts that I have. It must be that I have a lot of crazy thoughts that I don't really believe. I mean, that's all I can say. It just must be an indication that they pass through my mind, but I don't believe them. And so they don't really manifest because, thought and belief combine in a power surge that can literally move mountains. So it's not just thoughts in and of themselves. We have to believe them. And so I probably don't believe them. That's it. That's why the world is just the reflection that it is, which in my mind is full of a lot of amazingly loving, wonderful things. Because I don't really believe in the negativity that just flows through me, almost in a steady stream.
That's beautiful. That point really highlights any kind of charge that we have about what we see in the world. There must be a belief in the perception. There must be belief in the fear for us to really take that charge seriously. And I love the fact that you just highlighted that it's not about the thought. We all have thoughts, but the question is, do we believe the thought? That's going to determine whether or not we are affected or at the effect of the thought.
A lot of us may have thoughts that Donald Trump is dangerous. Some of us may have thought that Hillary Clinton has been bought out by the establishment, and so it'll just mean more corruption in politics. Some of us may have the thought that Bernie Sanders is an airy-fairy pie-in-the-sky idealist, and there's no way that any of the things that he's suggesting will ever get implemented. Some of us may have the thought that Ted Cruz is a dangerous fundamentalist who will pull abortion rights away from women, and it goes on and on and on. So, but these are our fear-based thoughts. And I think sometimes we just have to trust the process. You have to trust people. I trust my brothers who are one with me. I just trust the process. Trust that the process is going to bring to the fore the right person for this moment and participate in the process. Let your thoughts be part of the equation. I always encourage people to vote and to participate. Now, if you can't do that without being triggered and fearful and angry, okay, well, maybe it's wise for you not to do that. But I would recommend that people try to rise above that. Just rise above it. This is part of a discussion. This is, let your voice be heard. Raise your hand. Go to the polls. Vote for the candidate that you feel best represents your ideas. Let your values be part of the values that are making this conversation. But to criticize the conversation and then not want to be part of it, that's like you're in a relationship with somebody and they're very critical of you and they say a whole bunch of things that feel like attacks, and then they don't want to talk anymore. It's just like, well, that sucks. It's one thing for you to have all these ideas about me, but can we at least continue the discussion? So, I think a little bit of the people who criticize politics are like that. They're very critical. They have all these negative, attacking thoughts, and then they state them in one way, shape, or form, and then they say, I'm just not going to get them up. It's like, it's just like, it's not fair in a way. Participate. Your thoughts are fine. Share them. Hear other people share. That's how good relationship happens. That's how we bring people into the oneness that is the truth about people. Hear people. Listen to them. They have their values. They have their beliefs. Their candidates that they're supporting reflect those. Embrace that. And it's just like, hear how you try to look at things the way they're looking at them. That'll enable a conversation to take place. That'll enable oneness to take place. That'll enable healing to take place. That's what we're all about. Let it happen. Let it happen. Participate. It's great.
I think that's a good point. I like the what you just shared. It made me think of the Course teaching that there are no private thoughts. And I think if we are not allowed to express our thoughts, or we're not allowed to communicate, regardless of what's being communicated. If we're not allowed to do that, then we're holding or hiding them. And I think that it's important to have a forum that we all share our thoughts, regardless of what they are, that we don't judge against them, because it is the judgment against them that keeps this sense of separation, that keeps us in the suffering, that really keeps us trapped. So I think you're right.
Yeah, and I'll pivot back to the conference and the theme. I mean, our ultimate release is if we change our mind about things, because that's what's going to allow the world to change. So if we don't change our mind about the political process, if we just think it's just the clash of egos, it's the manipulation of powerful people to keep, disempowered people from gaining any access to power, if that's all we think, the world's going to continue just the way it is in your perception. So, if you really want to change the world, if you want the world to be different than how it appears to you, you got to change your mind. It's not going to change any other way. It's not going to just evolve in some way all of a sudden. It will change when you change your mind, because it's you that's causing it to be the way that it is. So retreating from it and not wanting to be engaged and involved in the conversation, that's not changing your mind. That's cementing your mind in a rigid point of view that's only going to perpetuate for you the perception of the world the way you see it. So, I just, change your mind. Find something good to think about Donald Trump. Find something good to think about Hillary Clinton. Find something good to think about Bernie Sanders. Find something good to think about Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and whomever. First one, can you think of it? Would you want to be running for president? For Christ's sake, look at that. I mean, that's amazing that anybody's even willing to do it, considering the negative projection that millions of people put on all of these people. Wow, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm so in awe of anybody that would choose to do that. Have to fend off that sort of psychic energy of that attack, no matter who they are. Wow, my hats off to all of them. That's courage and dedication, and having principles, and I love them all. I think they're all amazing people who are rising to a mission that they have seen for themselves. And let's face it, only one is going to win. So it's like you throw yourself into this process of running for president amongst 25 other people when it starts out, and only one of you is going to win. That's a huge thing to handle. And are you willing to handle that? I mean, people should ask themselves, am I willing to handle that? And mostly, probably people would say no, and that's fine, because it's not your particular karma in this particular lifetime. But can you imagine how difficult it is for those people? And my heart goes out to them, and my love goes out to them. I want to give them all the energy that I can give them, because they need it, and because it's difficult. I see how difficult it is.
I can't imagine either. I don't know how that unfolds. Certainly not in my karmic plan to run for president. Thank you for sharing. That was quite beautiful. I didn't expect for this conversation to go into politics, but it's so beautiful to see how when we talk about changing our mind and changing the world, it really leaves no topic out. This is an inclusive healing, which includes the subject of politics as well. We have about 8 more minutes before I say goodbye to you. So I want to just ask Tony if you'd like to share a little bit of what we can expect at this conference coming up in a few weeks. Any insights or any happenings that you'd like to share?
Okay, what can we expect? Right now, the current enrollment is 448 people. So that'll probably increase a little. And then there's always some people who don't show up at the last minute. Something happens, they can't make it. But I would assume we're going to have 420, 425, 430 people there. A Course in Miracles students, real dedicated to Course in Miracles. I mean, you have to be a real dedicated Course in Miracles student if you can find the, $1,000 by the time you pay for travel and hotel and conference registration, maybe more. So, that's a pretty dedicated group of people. And, to be in the midst of that kind of dedication to wanting to be together with each other, that's awesome. It's awesome. And you've been to other conferences, so you know how you can't communicate it in words. You sort of have to be there once to experience it. There is this energy that is generated by all those people joined together that can't be described. And it isn't just an energy that makes me feel good. It's an energy that changes the world. It's an energy that heals the world. And that's what we're about. We're about the ending of sickness and death. The sickness and death illusion in the world. We're about ending that. And we will make, I believe, a significant stride to ending that at the Las Vegas conference. So what to expect is 430, 40 people gathered together, listening to speakers, moving around. It's very active, Things are only like 75 minutes long, and then you move, and then you change. And sometimes you're all together, and sometimes you're in breakout sessions. Everybody's having a little different experience, and then you all come together for meals, and you chat about, who did you see? I saw them. Maybe I can see them, tomorrow. I see that they're presenting tomorrow, and then, So it's like a whirlwind of healing that's just it's infectious and mind altering and world altering, because the world is a representation of our minds. So what to expect? Expect to heal the world. Expect to really feel like, because you came, you are now a real part of a healing that's going on the planet that needed you to come to this thing. And so come if you're guided to, because you're going to be an integral part of a planetary, worldly, global healing just by you being there. And other than that, it's just fun. It's just so much fun to be with all these people, to be participating in these thoughts and these ideas. And there's so many wonderful presenters who are all, people who've dedicated their lives to practicing this material and embracing this material and representing this material and demonstrating this material. And hopefully, my hope and, my expectation that all the presenters there are going to realize the importance of them being there and the unique opportunity that is now in front of them to truly affect and move the healing of our planet forward. They're going to be part of this changing of mind that's going to change the world, that's going to manifest a world that is a closer reflection of heaven, which we call, in A Course in Miracles, the real world. So everybody there, the teachers, who will be realizing how important it is for them to interact with the people who come to their workshop, to teach them, to embrace them, to learn themselves from the people. And it's all going to move the atonement. It's all going to move the atonement forward. So, if anybody hasn't signed up yet, if you have an opportunity to say, find a way to come, because it's awesome. And if you don't come, and you should have come, there's going to be, no one else can fill your part in it. If you're guided to be there and you don't come, your part doesn't get filled by somebody else, because that was your part to fill. So come and be a part of this. Come and participate in this changing of mind and changing of the world.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Tony. And I can certainly attest to the energy level and the insight and wisdom that is just overflowing in this event and this weekend experience. So I just want to thank you so much for joining today, Tony. I apologize for the technical challenges. I want to thank everybody else who tuned in to listen in and join us for this this time to talk about change our mind, change our world. Thank you again, Tony, for being here. We look forward to seeing you at the conference. If anybody is, again, inspired to go, by all means, there are a lot of teachers out there that have tickets left, and certainly you can get more information at the Community Miracles Center website. There's information there as well. So come join us. We'd love to see you. Tony, thank you so much, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Craig, thank you. And thank you for asking me to join in this. I guess in the future we should test out the technology a little bit better before we engage. But, thank you for figuring out a way for this to happen through the phone and through the audio. And thank you for your participation in the conference, but also just more your participation in the healing of the planet. And I loved your video. Of course, I'm in it. So, but it's an awesome video. I was talking to somebody just the other day about how great it was, and they had seen it, and they really, and they weren't in it. And they really talked about how great it was, and it was a great piece that you did. It's a real contribution. You're making a real contribution. I'm sure in so many ways that I'm not even aware of, but just in the work that you do and the dedication that you have, and all the things that you do. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in Las Vegas. I mailed you your check yesterday for your travel. So, I always thought that, all the presenters are kind of like, yeah, and until they get their travel reimbursed, and then they go, oh, this is pretty cool. Oh, this is really happening. I guess this is really happening. So your travel reimbursement check is on its way. I know I probably shouldn't bring up the monetary stuff, but yeah, I really look forward to seeing you and Corinne and representing Miracle Share and all the people that are representing all their wonderful organizations.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.